Good morning.
Good morning, pal. Give me just 1 second to get this camera fixed up.
Yeah, that's okay. I gotta set up my monitor. Should I be on the somewhere in the ERG
Yeah,
zone?
yeah, we can pull up Erg Zone if we can. And we can talk a little bit about the numbers as we row.
Uh-huh. I've got a couple of questions. So that I think I just need to understand a little bit better.
Of course, I get that.
So where in ERG zone should I be?
You can just go to the warm-up room if you want to. It doesn't need to be anywhere special.
Okay.
Anywhere for me to see your numbers.
Is that in virtual cam?
Either
Live
one.
classes?
I would go to live class
Okay.
and find a warm-up room that said live class. Either one is okay. All the meters will go to the same place, but as long as I know what room you're in, I can find you.
Live classes, okay.
Live classes should have a warm-up room in there somewhere.
Let's see. Warm up room. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm scanning in for a warm up room.
All right. Your camera's not on. You want to switch that on?
Oh. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're in the warm-up room. Are you connected? Oh wait, it's scanning up there. Scanning for PM5.
Yeah. Maybe I just need to.
I don't think it's connected. What does it say?
It just says scanning for.
Do you have the
mode.
PM5 on? Did you hit connect?
Yeah, I had it connected. Connect. Okay.
There you go.
Now it is. Okay.
And one other question though, before you hit connect, was the live button toggled on the switch? It was?
Yes, it was.
Is it connected?
It is now. It says 30 minutes. I can redo it.
Yeah, close out and just double check that live button when you hit connect. Connect. And then that live button toggle on the.
Onto the right.
Yep, and then do it again. Hit that blue button. It should work. Usually does.
Usually does. Sending work out. Sending work out. Wait, I've got 30 minutes. Row to start. Have you got it now?
There you go. Now I see you. Yep. Now I see you. We are good.
So questions.
Questions. Let's start with that. What's on your mind?
I want to double check my lean back and the angle and yeah, that whole mechanism.
Okay.
I still don't completely understand the SPI and the percentages and all, and like what my goals are there, where I am and what's dry. I mean, I'm just from an engineering point of view, I'm not rocking it.
Okay. And you're an engineer, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And the other is that, I want to work on the pace versus power thing. and being able to have a monitor my power better against, what, if I speed up, still maintaining lower power or increasing the power. But I just, once I understand maybe the SPI a little better, maybe, I don't know,
I
but
got
I'm
you.
not.
Definitely understand where you're coming from. And you jumped in rather quickly, so like you haven't had many chances for us to talk about it per se. So this is kind of why these coaching sessions are ideal. We can talk about anything, frankly, that you want to. We can talk about your tech, but I mean, if these are the things that are on your mind, this is just the place for us to kind of talk about it. What else? I've got, a little bit of position now. Let's think about your technique and your form a little bit. You have the layback at the finish. Is there anything else in regards to your tech or form that we want to think about? I know we talked a little bit about drive length before, like how to maintain it, I think, as the rating went up. Is that accurate?
Right, exactly. I mean, when I start out and I'm actually slower, right? I can be at 133, 135, but I cannot maintain that.
Yeah.
And so my normal is like a 127 now, you know, and I think that it's not at the catch. I think it's actually at the finish.
Yeah, it could be a combination of both, but I would agree that I would lean more towards the finish for your opportunities than the catch. So I think you're right there. Let me ask you this real quick. The camera where it's in a good spot, but do you have the ability to lower it a little bit so I can see the tops of your feet or like the slide? And then can you angle it a little bit more towards the catch to where I can actually see the vertical? There you go. Perfect. And you don't have to get your feet strapped in, but sit back as if you were at the finish so I can see how much I can see. So it's a little bit, we can get away with that. Do you have the ability to scoot the camera away from you any further, or is that as far as it goes?
That's,
there you go. That should be perfect. That's fine. That's perfect. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's good. All I really want to look at, right? I want to make sure we're looking, because we're talking about drive length, talking about your position. That's perfect. It's the ends of the stroke, right? It's the ends of the stroke where we have opportunity. Now, with that being said, you have opportunity to sort of lose your length in the middle of the drive if we lose connection. Right. And what I mean is, let's say you're good at the catch, you get the legs on it, you're applying force, we're moving it. But let's say that as you begin to open the body up, we lose force and then we pick it back up again to the finish. It kind of, if you've ever seen the force curve, it looks like a double hump, right? Up.
actually, I mean, I tend to always, it's rare that I have a double. I almost always have a single arc.
You don't necessarily have that problem. I'm just highlighting that it's not only at the ends of the stroke where we have opportunities for it's basically connection through the drive that affects length. But I don't think that's your issue. I'm just sort of making sure that I inform you that it's not only the ends of the stroke, but that's where your opportunities are. So we'll check the layback at the finish. This is all common. I mean, I've been having a lot of conversations with rowers, a couple of rowers over the past couple of weeks that just can't seem to find the length that they want. And they were training, because we just went through endurance camp. They were training for like a half marathon or a marathon, which requires an extremely low percentage of SPI, meaning we're backing off the pressure. Now, what's hard to do, pal, is lower the SPI without dropping your drive length. Because the easiest thing to do is just to not to row as long. Let's think about rowing on the water. If we're gonna row nice and light, oftentimes we're not reaching as far as we can to get the blade in, and we're not keeping the blade in the water as long as possible. That's usually reflected in like high power, high leverage stuff, which is why we practice that. But usually what happens is we just sort of tap it along. We're just nice and short through the water. Now, what we like to do, so in order to lower our force, we'd like to maximize our length. There are only a couple, like there are bits, like, 3 factors in rowing. If one gives, the other's got to compensate to make up for the loss of power. If you're going to reduce your force, but you expect to have the same output, you're going to have to lengthen your drive. If you're going to shorten your drive, but you want to have the same output, you're going to have to apply more force over that fixed length to get the desired result. Does that make sense so far? Right? So when we're looking at percentage of SPI, sort of leaning into like our next couple topics of conversation, is something has to give. If I want to go 150 watts at a 15, you can do that with this amount of force over this amount of drive length. But if I go lighter, I'm going to have, but I expect the same output, I'm going to have to compensate somewhere. These are where that give and take is. So like when we were planning for somebody to row a marathon, okay, we practice at 100% SPI. We do our power pieces at 90% SPI. We do our spins at like, what was it, 72 to 78%, right around 75. But for a marathon, this guy wanted to run 20 to 22 strokes per minute. He can't run 20 to 22 strokes per minute at 75, 80, 85, 90% SPI because you're going to die. You don't have the force for it. So what do we have to do? We had to say, all right, we're going to practice at 60, basically 60 to 65% SPI. That is light. That is extremely light amount of power. It's something we're not used to doing. So the practice in that was say, all right, John, it was John that trained with us at endurance camp. The practice when we do all these pacing pieces, not the power stuff, the pacing stuff, is to practice maintaining the drive length at 60% SPI, which is not easy to do because what you naturally want to do is just cut the stroke off short instead of staying lighter for longer. Okay. So if we were going to do max unsustainable power pieces at like 20 to 30 seconds on, a minute off, you'd be going at an unsustainable pace, which is 105 to 110% of your SPI. You can't do that for so long. But as we lengthen out the duration of work, we have to reduce that workload so that you can go for longer. That's how we use the percentage of SPI. So let's say your power pieces are 100% of your SPI. Your 2K is going to be 75 to 80% of your SPI. Your 5K is going to be somewhere like 65 to 70%, and so on and so forth. But as the distance is greater, our output has to be reduced so that we can go the distance. The other factor in that we haven't really talked about is basically stroke rating. If I expect you to take 30 strokes in a minute instead of 20 strokes in a minute, we've got to reduce your output in order to be able to make sure that you can maintain that over the desired distance, which is more like 1K, 2K training, right? So when it comes to stroke rating, we can sort of look at them as like levers, like on a radio station. Like, okay, I could push the stroke rating up, but something else has to give. All right, well, if I want to put up my power, maybe I can put up more power over a lower stroke rating to achieve that desired boat speed or output. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And drive length is the other sort of third piece to that puzzle. You can only go faster by pushing harder, increasing your strokes per minute, taking more strokes, or increasing the time that you're using that force, which is drive length. Those are the only 3 ways to go faster on a rowing machine. So when you look at it that way, I look at it like a triangle, like, all right, well, this one gets pulled up, this one's going to diminish. Okay, well, if I want to get this one a little bit, maybe I got to pull from the drive length, all these sort of things. But at the end of the day, drive length is the one thing we want to sort of have as a fixed length. Now you're driving under 1.3 on a regular basis. Remind me how tall you are.
5'3" with a 30-inch inseam.
So I'd be curious to see what my other rowers at that height accomplish in terms of drive length, because getting you a 1.5, 1.6 is probably not likely at a 5'3".
No.
Right? You're like my mom. You're like my mom's height. It's the same thing. But if we can get you pulling 136 on a regular basis, then instead of 127, all day. And more of that has to do with your position. I worked with Jilly, who's been rowing for 25 years. She's incredibly talented, incredibly fast, but she learned an old school way of rowing. And We work with her on drive length in terms like totally had to reshift her focus, like relaxing because she's a sculler. She's used to really being tense. At the finish, and you've been rowing for a long time, so you may have been taught this way, fast hands away, fast hands away. I don't get many people that complete the stroke. So my shoulders, I don't have an erg here, but I'd show you. They're all in the studio. But like we're more focused on getting the turnaround to get to the next stroke than we are to complete the stroke with the shoulders and elbows and the head back, which, this distance here, I know I'm blurry. This distance is like 10 to 12 centimeters. That's huge. Well, it seems like small when you're looking at it. When you see the numbers in your drive length, it's a big difference. Let me do this real fast. That's better. So
if I could get to 135 on a regular basis, or just over 1.3, I would be very happy.
I know that we can do that. But what we've got to do is we've got to try to achieve that type of drive length without relying on high output, high power, because we're trying to create a new normal for you. We're trying to say, this is my new stroke. Let's add power to this new stroke instead of trying to just stay powerful the whole time and increase drive length. We've got to practice lighter, focus more on your position, focus more on what it looks like and feels like. Forget about like everybody that can go high leverage gets higher drive length. That's not the best way for us to build sort of a new habit. We want to get you comfortable in the position. Hands are in the right spot. We're pushing at the right time. We're releasing at the right spot just to achieve that drive length and say, okay, when you do pause drills on the water, we're just trying to muscle memory. Here's where the shoulders are. Okay, back again. Let's do it again. Nice and light. Here's where nope, that wasn't it. It was a little bit different on the next one. Try and fix it. Okay, a little bit more, a little bit less, a little bit this, a little bit of that. And then you practice, okay, that's what it looks like. This is what it feels like. Let's do it again. Boom, boom. Okay. And then what we do is we set, when it's done right, you see 135, 136 in the drive length. I don't know, this is all hypothetical, but when you take the next stroke and you see, oh my God, I dropped down to 126. That's the time for you to say, what was different? What felt different about the stroke? Was it the catch? Was it the finish? Did I apply power differently? Did I not finish the stroke with acceleration? Was I not connected at the catch on the front end? Did my handle move out a few inches before I really felt like I got a hold of it? Because that's drive length, But these are the sort of questions we begin to ask ourselves when we see the result in the numbers, okay? So in terms of talking about it, that's how I want to sort of work with it. We're going to run some pause drills. I want you to take strokes, and I'm going to have you make adjustments. And then I want you to try and take a full stroke and fall back into that place. And we'll just look at the numbers and see. It's kind of like an experimental thing. It's like, all right, well, let's lay back a little bit more. Let's see what that does. Oh, that felt different. Okay, look at the numbers. Let's see if we can do more of that, and so on and so forth. Go ahead.
When you came up with the, my SPM level, SPI level, what is that real power, or is that like, I don't know. What was that again? So that
the SPI test is basically you're trying to achieve the highest watts possible at a fixed rating.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've put a cap on one of the three metrics that you can use to go faster, right?
Okay.
You can't go any faster. You can't use stroke rating. How else are you going to go faster, pal?
By increasing the length and increasing the pace.
Which would be, so decreasing the pace, right? Your split per 500. How do you decrease the pace? What do you increase to decrease your pace? The
length, the length.
That's one of two things. What's the other one?
SPI.
Power.
No.
Watts.
Watts.
So you said pace, which is the right answer, but I want you to understand, as power goes up, pace goes down, right? As your wattage goes up, your split per 500 goes down. That means you're moving the boat faster. So,
okay.
And I see you wrapping your head around it. This is what's important. Come on, Skip. You know, you go faster with a lower split, right? You know that. You've been trained on splits all your life. You know that a lower split is faster. How do we achieve a lower split? By going faster with higher power per stroke, longer drive, which would yield higher, basically power. How do we look at, how do we affect power? Speed, strokes per minute, and input to the machine, output. So just wattage. As wattage goes up, your pace and your splits go down. So that's why, 203 watts is about a 2 split. 300 watts is a 145 split. That's a 7-minute 2K versus an 8-minute 2K. As my power has increased, my speed and my split per 500 has gone down. I'm traveling faster. And so, that's split is time. Power is raw numbers. Like the reason we use watts is because they can, watts and strokes per minute, they're related in terms of the fact that they're linear. Time as a split versus power as an output is exponential. So it takes a whole lot more power to drop 2 seconds if you're closer to 6 minutes than if you're closer to 8 minutes. Does that make sense? So that's the reason why we use wattage, is because the math works. What you just need to know is that the higher the power, the lower the split, the faster the boat. All right. And it's fun explaining that, because while it is very simple, if you've only talked about splits for 30 years, you gotta understand. And frankly, pal, we weren't talking about it in this way 8 years ago. So it's all good. We're learning together, but it's working. So so back to your original question in terms of SPI, right? You were like a 5.5, I think it was. That means the average amount of power that you put into the machine divided by the total number of strokes that you took was a 5.1. Okay. Does that make sense? Now, I'm willing to bet right now, if you went on and did that SPI test, which you should, to be honest with you, if you have the time, you're going to Europe this month? In like a week?
In like a week.
So you may not have time to do it before, but if you do, actually, it might not be a good idea, because you might be better off doing it before your vacation than after your vacation. So I would consider going back in there and doing the SPI test again, because I'm curious. It's your first, 7-8 weeks of training with us. I'm willing to bet you'd be stronger. But anyways, we'll do that if you feel inclined to it. Besides that, what we want to try and look at, we're going to work on a couple of pause positions. Do you have any other questions or thoughts before we start taking strokes and rowing? Nope. SPI percentage goals. So at the end of the day, I hope to see you at like a 5.86 on that SPI test compared to your previous 5.1. That means you're stronger, you're putting out more power per stroke. And then maybe after summer camp, we'll see you at like 6.2, 6.5. Those are the goals. But anyways, let's have you take strokes. I want you to take strokes just like you were rowing in a boat, meaning be okay with just taking strokes while I'm coaching you. I'll call some pauses. I'll have you make some adjustments. We'll get you into a different position. We'll have you continue to take strokes. Once it looks good, we'll say, hey, let's take 2 strokes and try and achieve the same position, 3 strokes, and so on and so forth. Do you have your drive length set up in front of you on erg zone so you can see it just like I can? Okay.
Yes, I do.
Perfect. So why don't you start off just with some body Vesper, just like we were starting off at a class, just body Vesper, cut the cake, just taking some strokes, and then we'll just get you, I'll talk to you throughout. We'll get you doing some drills.
So I got to tell you, the new hand position has made a big difference, even on the water.
What have you changed about it?
Well, I'm more hooked around.
Oh yeah.
And so my thumbs are actually on top.
That's okay.
Right now.
Some people really don't like that, but I don't really care.
I've gotten used to it. And then when I was on the water, it made it more comfortable where I was on the edge of on the end.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I've never been a deep rower. I've always been pretty good at keeping it shallow on the blade. but this makes it like totally, I don't even have to think about it. I know that my depth of blade is going to be perfect.
It's kind of where it wants to be, right? It's
Yeah.
designed to float right there. And it's hard to learn because when you put your thumbs under it, you really feel like you have to manipulate it. But if you just put the hands on top and follow the path of the blade, or sweep
Yeah.
rod, it's
And I was always under, I was, low,
Oof.
my
No,
fingers
no.
were out forward, but now they're this way. It really makes a huge difference.
Big difference. And think about strength training. Would you lift any weights out there, like, out like this? Like, no, you get out there and you get a hold of it. Doesn't mean you squeeze it, but you get a hold of it so you can really feel like you can do some work. And think about it, like, especially rowing at an 8, thing's heavy. Like, you got to be in a strong position. When I see rowers out there in their fingertips and broken wrists below the knuckles is the key thing, like this. We never want to see that. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad it's translating on the water.
Yeah.
So pause position at the finish. Good. Pause it, arms out, body over. Nice and tall. So
that's one thing I got to work on.
Yeah, that's a good position right there. Now, let me ask, do you have the ability, you're rolled up just a little bit towards the shoulders. Do you have the ability to bring them down? Down?
That's about as far as I can go.
That's fine. And are your elbows bent or are they locked?
They get a little bend to them.
I want them, I want a bend in them. Yeah, I want a slight bend here. You can see how my arms are. But what I'm going to have you do something with the shoulders real quick. Just stay there. I want you to bring the shoulders up as high as you can, back as far as you can, down the spine. Now get them out in front, but keep them down. Yeah, I can see your neck now. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Keep that head high. And I'm going to have you take one stroke. I want you to really reach for the catch and pause at the finish. Ready, go. Finish, pause right there. Arms out, body over again. Think about the elbows and the shoulders. Elbows slightly down to the floor. Shoulders out in front. Ready, go. Arms out, body over. Long and loose through the arms. Roll those knuckles towards the fan a little bit. There you go. Perfect. Ready, row. Good. Hold that pause. Arms out, body over. I want you to push for longer and lean later, meaning keep the body in front of the hips for longer and then lean late. Ready, go. Even more. Body over. Push for long. I want you to lean late, 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 late. So do you know what I'm talking about when I say that, pal? I want you to, it's okay if you don't. That's why we're doing it. So you're at the catch here. As you push, we're starting to open while the legs are still pushing. You see how this is my knees moving away, but then my body's also opening. I want you to keep the body forward, push, 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 then lean late. That's what I mean by lean late. Push for longer, push for 30% longer, and then open the body up.
Okay.
Right idea, right idea. Pause the body, stay relaxed and long, and try that again. Yes, arms out, body over. I want you to imagine at the catch your leg pressing the erg away from you. Keep practicing that. Try that. Good. Strong, firm push. Pressure to the feet immediately. Pressure to the feet immediately on the catch. Boom. There you go. Stay long and loose. Relax in the shoulders. I want to see your neck. I want to see your neck. I don't know if you're seeing your drive link right now, pal, but you're rolling 145. 142. You said
I know.
I'd feel good at 135, you said. Get the handle out over your socks, right? Get the arms long, but stay super loose. Tall and loose, pal. Staying loose and relaxed is one of the most important things to out managing your length. Look at that, 145, 145. Stay loose through the shoulders and elbows to the finish. 142, good. Your short strokes are staying above 1.4, and that's what we want. Good. More body angle there, pal. You've got to lengthen before you slide. That's your biggest opportunity for drive length. There we go. That's a good position, pal. Keep the chin up at the catch. 145 on that. We're always reaching for the drive length now. As long as we don't compromise the position of your back or anything, we're always reaching for those watts. Good. Standing up and hanging on the catch. Load the hips. Stay heavy for a long time. Hal, you're crushing it. I don't think you understand. Let it run for a minute. Let it run, relax. So you were just running 7.5 SPI at a 10 stroke rating, meaning you were going slow and it was heavy. Did you see all the stroke? Did you see the drive length? Every one of them was over 1.4, right? And that's huge. That's 10 centimeters longer. Well, wait, even more than that, right? More than that, 12, 13 centimeters.
13.
So
Yeah.
like that's your biggest opportunity for higher output with less force. So higher output with less effort, which I'm all about. It's just efficiency. People say it's lazy, but I'm just about being grow smarter, not harder. And that was achieved by focusing on staying relaxed, because if we get tense or tight, it just shortens us up. We've got to be able to stay loose and long. Like this part here, your ability to stay loose and long up at the catch out here is, it buys you 4 to 5 centimeters. Easy 4 to 5 centimeters, maybe even more. My camera's having a hard time today. I do apologize. Oh, that's right. I think it's too bright.
Yeah, that is. You were shining there.
I was. But staying loose, right? Now, the thing we also have to remember, pals, you're short. Okay, that's fine. But on the erg, every centimeter matters. What you did just now is exactly what I was going to talk about. Leverage, right? All right, we're a fixed length from here to here. Okay, my legs are a fixed length. You said you're at what, 30 centimeter inseam, whatever. Shoulders to hips here. This is another length. This is another length. It's a part of our leverage, right? Like this is it's a big factor in terms of how we apply power. If I get shorter, this lever is shorter, which means the distance my shoulders travel is shorter. So
it also puts more power. I mean, it puts more pressure into the shoulders, which
absolutely. And where we want most of the pressure to be is like through our core into the hips. We want everything to be strong in here. This is where we're the strongest. So we want to be up and tall so that we can be loose. We can rely on the range of motion instead of the strength, if you will.
I'm going to have to work on those muscles, because that will be a long time fix.
It will,
because I've got a habit of rounding too much.
Yeah, and we can work on that. You know, we can work on that. Really, with you, it's going to be a matter of pausing. I'm going to say, all right, pause at the finish. Actually, do it right now. Pause at the finish. So right now, pal, I want you to sit as tall as you can, as if I'm picking you up by your head. Good. Stay laid back just a slight bit to activate the core. Bring the handle in all the way to where it's touching you, just barely. Good. And double check and make sure your shoulders and elbows are relaxed. I understand your core is working. Perfect. Shake it out. That's exactly what I would do. Just shoulders and neck and arms and elbows are just relaxed.
Okay.
Now your core is turned on, right? Like you're activated a little bit. We're not flexing. Are your toes planted or are you relying on the straps?
I'm strapped.
I know you're strapped, but are you pulling up on them?
Yes.
Try. Now here's the thing. Try to.
I pushed them down.
Good.
Push the toes down.
Now do this. It's going to sound crazy. Push the toes down and get the heels off. Not by bending your knees, but by standing up on your toes. Point the toes back. So we're working right now. This is like a stability drill. It's like a core strength. It's like a plank on a nerve. You're working, but we're stabilized. So to be honest with you, pal, I would run some pause drills like this and hold that pause for 10 seconds. So go now, rock out the arms out, body up, wait. Before you do that, go back to the finish. The only reason I got to be adamant about this is because the first thing you did from here, pal, was you bent those knees. Don't bend the knees. What do you got to do? You have to lengthen it first. So from the finish, lengthen over the socks. Now slide and take that stroke. That's what I'm talking about, pal. Discipline, right? Hold the position, hold it. Handle in. Lengthen. Make sure you're long. Make sure you feel tall and comfortable. Push to the finish. Now, one other thing right now, pal, check and make sure your shoulders are behind your ears. Yeah.
There are so many mechanics here.
So bring the handle all the way to the body. I want you to make contact. There you go. And you don't have to hit yourself, pal, but I want, like, one of my things, I love tactile feedback. I like to say, okay, I was in, there was no cutting it short. So lengthened arms out, body over. Now the shoulders are in front of the ears, sort of, you know. And we're going to take a full stroke, pause at the finish. Shoulders back behind the ears, bam. Yeah, stay tall, chest up. Do you see that drive length? Is that even possible? That's funny. All right,
wow.
Arms out, body over. I know, right? You grew a foot, pal. Boom, stay focused on the legs. 1-5-1, that's a win. Let's go to arms out, body over again. Lengthen. Shoulders in front. Connect. Boom. 1-4-5.
I didn't put my heels down. I was so concentrating on my toes.
That's all right. You can get it on this one. Ready? Body over. Lengthen. Remember, remind yourself we're loose, so we're tall. Woo! Strong legs on that one. So that was a little bit more of a kick, right? You kicked a little harder. So what we want to remember is that we want to get connected at the catch, but once you feel like you've really gotten it, once you get the first 5% of the drive, I want to see you, pal, push, and swing. What we haven't talked about yet is the finish. We've talked about the body position, but the finish, pal, as long as you isolate the push, meaning keep the body forward, then the rest of the stroke, pal, is for you to go, wham, like load the legs and finish that stroke. Like the back end should be fast, accelerated. I want you to feel like you're almost going to fly off the earth because you've used the legs so heavily in the front end of the drive. Pause to the finish. Go ahead. Ask me.
And presumably then, like I could control, like if I put too much power in for too long, then everything tires out. My heart rate goes up, my, the whole body kind of tires out. And
now,
presumably
if you're taking high power strokes at a certain rating. So let me put it this way. Maybe you're capable of putting out an SPI of 8 at 12 to 14 strokes per minute, because then you're taking one stroke every 4 seconds, a little bit more, but you're getting ample time to rest and recover in between reps. So if we look at a rowing stroke, like we look at reps and sets while we're weightlifting, you can't go 8 SPI for 30 strokes in a minute, because that, right? Exactly. Like we already know it's too demanding. So something has to give. Right now, what we as your coaches, what I would emphasize for, more lower strokes high leverage, lifting hard. Even if you can't go for 30 minutes, that's okay. What we're trying to do is teach the body what a new stroke feels like. And then as we take the rating up, we'll reduce the SPI percentage. Then I'm not putting as high of output on the strokes. And also understand that it's important that we understand as coaches and build through the training that just because we practice it low does not mean it's going to translate to your mid and high ratings. That is the job of us coaches through the next sort of training camps, if you will. Like something that a lot of rowers of ours don't realize is that there is a year-round cycle to these camps. The reason we did all this endurance stuff now is to build that base, because the next 3 months, 4 months almost, like the end of spring into summer, is all race 2K focus, trying to get the power and endurance we've established at these lower ratings to translate to the higher ratings. I know you're not ready now. And when I was a younger coach, Justin had to remind me in the fall or even January, February, they're not ready for race pace. You're not ready to establish a higher SPI at 30 strokes a minute. We're not there yet. But this is one step in the process to get us towards race pace. It's all a process, and we have to understand that right now what we're doing is building the base of both knowledge and fitness and output in terms of power. Then over the next few weeks and months, we've got to start to teach you how to do a little higher. Okay, teach you how to do it at this race pace. And we're not going to be here until whenever the desired peak of the season is, which is for us is going to be the end of the summer for the next sort of training cycle. So I hope that makes sense. We fully understand that, but you're not going to achieve it. I can't have you correct the issues we're trying to work on above a 22. It's not going to work. So what we have to do is spend the time nice and low, establishing what it feels like, and then we'll train you to the rest. But it's important for you to know now, no, you cannot do that forever. It's unsustainable. But what I want to get you to do is to understand that even regardless of the SPI, the stroke that you're taking catch to finish is of that fixed length and of a good position. Then we can build on those starting points. But until then, we can't put the cart in front of the horse. And far too many coaches and rowers are like, yeah, we're good. Let's just row 28. The more we row 28 strokes a minute, the better we're going to get at it. I would argue that that's not necessarily true. We do need to practice that, but this stuff we're doing right now, there's not enough of it going on.
I agree.
Sorry about that long drawn out, explanation.
No,
but
that's good.
It's important. This has always been a part of the training cycle. Let's work a little. I'm not at a hard stop in the next 4 minutes. Are you?
No, but I in about 10 minutes, I definitely have to.
Perfectly fine. So what I'd like to do is let's try and have you take maybe 5 strokes, really, really focused, low rating like you've done so far. I don't care what the rating is, just low. I want you to focus on drive length, setting that length to the socks, reaching to the catch, completing to the finish. Then what we'll do is we'll take 5 strokes at like 18, 19, 20, paddle it out. Let's see what the length looks like as we go from our low practice rate to a little bit of a more normal, comfortable rate. The goal is to keep your length, okay?
Okay.
So 5 strokes just to practice. Remember, shoulders down, long and loose. Remember, finish that stroke with the shoulders and elbows behind us. Shoulders relaxed, long arms. Finish the stroke behind us, head behind us, shoulders behind us, and elbows back. Remember, isolate the push off the front end, isolate the push away, push and then lean late. There you go. The leg drive is separate from the swing. Think about it. There are 2 parts to the drive, the push and then the lean. I want you to separate the push and the lean. That was a good one, pal. Good one. I like the way that one looked. Stayed up at 139 on the drive length, 142. Good. Now let's start to take 5 to 7 strokes up to 18, 19 strokes a minute. Don't get lazy on me, pal. Get the handle out over the socks. Get long out in front, long out in front. Good. Give me a little more rating. Get up there. Get up there. There we go. Big swing, reach. Give me 2 more, pal. 2 more. And relax, relax, relax. So shorter than what we've practiced, but staying over 1.3. Okay, so that's just what this is. All right. This is why we're looking at this. Let's start to see. Now, as the rating climbs, you got to make sure that you hold those knees down to get long. You got to get the body forward before you slide. Now, as the rating climbs, you have less time to do that. But your habit right now is to lift the knees, off the catch, and we got to get rid of that. I got to hold the knees down a little, get here, then lift, even at the higher ratings. Okay. The other thing is the finish. I think you were right. You said that you want to check the layback at the finish. I think that we have a tendency to not finish the stroke or complete the stroke before we get on to the next one.
And also be up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I keep sinking.
Yeah.
I may be back far enough, but I'm sinking.
Yeah, it's a good point. So sit at the finish.
And I tend to do this.
Yep, we're gonna fix that. Well, sort of, we're gonna work on it. All right, legs down all the way, all the way. Put those legs down. Tall as you possibly can be. Chest up. Good. You have that chest up by supporting your lower back. Good. Shoulders are relaxed. If I could see your shoulders and your ears, I could see them. You're good. You're good. Now, this is work, isn't it?
Yes.
So we got
a lot of work.
You got to get stronger here. I want you to take 1 stroke, and you're not yet, but when I say so, take 1 stroke, and I want you to pause there. When you get there, pal, be absolutely still. Do not make an adjustment. Ready? Go. Be very, very still. 139 on your very first stroke. Look at that. Let's do that again. Ready? Row. Stay upright, stay tall. 148. Holy smokes. Staying tall. We're working that core. We're going to work the core for like the next 3 minutes, and then we're going to call it a day. We're going to take 1 more stroke just like that. Ready? Row. Chin up, chest up, taller, taller, even if it's artificial. 154 on the drive length. Pal, I didn't know you were that tall. Good. Stay up there. Stay up there. Ready? Row. Yeah, it's a relief when you get to leave there. Stay tall, chin up, chest up. The other reminder, don't hold your breath. Breathe. Ready. Row. Looking good, pal. Really, seriously, looking strong, looking good. Stay upright, shoulders and elbows relaxed. Arms out, body over. Sit up, chest up. Good, hold it, relax in the shoulders and the elbows. 1 more stroke to the finish pause. Ready, row. Stay upright, stay tall. Stay upright. I want you to hold on to it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Relax, relax, relax. Don't even worry about it. You can put the handle down. You can put the handle down. That pause at the finish, focused on core strength, was far more demanding than it should be. So we know we have an opportunity there. We got to be strong. I say this all the time. We got to be comfortable in each position. The number of rowers that rush into and out of the catch because it's not a comfortable position is off the charts. You know, we get in and we get out. Like when you get into the catch, we're holding it, and then we go, okay. Same thing at the finish. You can sit at the finish all day long, like this. We call it lazy rowing, just like slouched. I'm seated, or up, locked in. Think about a tall torso core strength is measured through all of this, not necessarily by a 6-pack. So if you don't feel that the core turns on at the finish, get up, lay back until it does. You'll know. Now, the rule that I'll apply to this, because you wanted to check the layback at the finish, I am okay with as much layback as you can achieve until the shoulders and the upper body starts to travel downward. I can only lay back so far until things start to go down. That's too far. That is my cue. So like right there, that's probably about it, right? And that might be a little bit beyond 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock, like a lot of rowers teach it, but I'm big on like 10:30 to 1:30. I like a bigger swing, bigger range of motion.
And the toes down. Okay.
The toes down forces you to activate the core, because if you pull up on the straps, you don't really have to. You can just pull up and use your hip flexors to kind of hold yourself up instead of planting the toes. It demands it out of the core because you have to hold yourself upright instead of the straps holding you upright.
So in terms of off the erg exercising, like V-ups might be better, therefore, than
Sure.
a ab mat sit up.
Yeah, V-ups, or do you do any like, do you do planks?
Yeah, I do planks. And the other thing I do is I have a TRX and I hold myself up and I do knees to chin.
Knees to chin, that's good. You could do some Russian twists, which are basically, if you can do them as a hold, basically, which is my feet and everything off the ground. And if I had a weight like this, you can take a weight from here to this side.
Yeah.
To this
I
side.
have a 10-foot ball that I can do that with.
You could do that. The other one that we used to really do is called, it's 3 degrees, which is basically, it's just isolation holds. And we call it 3 degrees because we start up here where this is the easiest, right? Okay, hold it. This is easy. We can do this for a while. The next degree is basically we extend and we hold, we hold, we hold. The last one is we extend even further and we hold, we hold, we hold. So again, it's just really about isolate and stabilize the core instead of activating and moving it. So I like those. The other thing is just anything rotational will help build core all around, which would help stabilize you at the finish. I would do that. You can even do these things on the erg, to be honest with you. You could have your feet strapped in and sit at the finish and take that 10-pound ball and you can rotate there. Or how you could take that 10-pound ball to finish, hold it up over your head, and try and get it as high as possible, because so what that forces you to do is lift the core up as much as you can, and we're stabilizing. These are all things that I would definitely work on.
Okay.
So
writing them blank.
We've improved the finish, talked about the core, lengthen the core. I think this is the big one, right? Because when you were up taller, lengthen the core, lay back, hold the knees.
So I've got a laid up on the knees, lay back.
Yeah, it's true.
Relax.
Focus on the push. Yep, relax the
shoulders. Okay, push. Toes down, I have. Ball twist, ball over, planks, which I do, V-ups, 3 degrees. Okay.
And I'll also, pal, we've been recording this, so I'll take it down, put it up on YouTube, unlisted. I'll send you the link. So if you want to go back and recap on any of this, by all means, you can do that. For sure.
Right.
Length and position for you, critical. If you can get more comfortable, you can get stronger in each position, your rowing will improve. Absolutely. And I got to remind you, like the last stroke you took, I'm looking at it right now in our exam. The last stroke you took was a 154. You should just put that in your mind and know that you're capable. You're fully capable of driving over 1.5. Every stroke, that's going to take some time to work on, but you have it. There's no doubt in my mind that you can get there. And maybe 154 is like your top end. Maybe we can try and get you averaging right around 1.4. That's a heck of a lot longer than 127. And you should feel better overall. And you'll feel even better on the water. Like drive length through the water it's beautiful. All right. Well, any final questions? Any comments, concerns at all before we?
So with this high intensity camp, is that something that, I mean, I'm going to be on the water quite a bit and sort of, so I'm trying to think, is a high intensity camp worthwhile, or do I just go to the classes?
Ooh, you definitely have, you have options. Lucky for you, you were on the best membership. It's going to kind of depend on where you would like to focus. I think maybe where you are right now, based on some of the things we were talking about, take some more classes. Definitely drop into at least a class a week, because we can continue to work on drive length. You can get that coaching. The camp that's going on right now is more, it's unsupervised. It's one of the only 2 months that we don't run them live. But what I would encourage you to do is, maybe after you've taken a couple of classes, if you feel like you're seeing some numbers that you're more comfortable with, you feel like you can apply it, hop into any of those workouts and see if you can do it on your own. Because if you can maintain that higher drive length without being reminded of it, and while doing a bit of work, a more taxing workout, I think that would be a sign that we're moving in the right direction and we're making good improvements. And then the bigger challenge is, can we maintain that as the workload increases, as we take higher stroke ratings and so on? I wouldn't feel obligated for you to try and crush out this next month on your own workouts. I would say, like I said before, focus on the tech, focus on the classes. And then if you feel good one day and you're thinking that you want to jump into a workout, let me know, or just take a look at that track and I can give you an idea as to which one to try. And yeah, we've got this month, the real camp for summer starts the week of June 14th. So we have basically almost a full 30 days to kind of run the classes, take some strokes on the water, maybe pop in one of these virtual camp workouts, maybe once a week, and see if we can apply what we've worked on now before we start the next camp. And there's enough time now, Pal, to be honest with you, we could set up another one-on-one just like this right before that summer HP starts. And maybe we can recap and see the kind of progress you've made and go from there.
Great. Okay. Super.
That sound good?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'll send you a link to this video. If you think of anything after the fact, just shoot me a message and I'll get back to you.
Great. I think I'm hooked up for Friday morning with you, but in any case, have a nice honeymoon.
I appreciate it. I may or may not be there Friday morning, so just in case I don't see you, thank you. I'll share some pictures with the group. I'll tag Linvero, so if you follow us, you'll get an update or two.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Have a great rest of your day. Great week. Bye.